Well, yes, Chamberlain, there's already a mild protest here. Not still certain what it is about, but we have in the studio Oshinaga, who is a member of the APC. Let me just spell that out. He's a member of the All Progressives Congress. You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have Bitrus, who is the president, Middle Belt Forum. Welcome, sir.
You're welcome. And
Fabiyi is a member of the People's Democratic Party. You're welcome as well.
Thank you very much.
The issue this morning, gentlemen, is security. And you can hear from the Senate President that they're willing to support community policing. This is coming on the back of debate or of a controversy that just raged on the launch of Amotekun by the Southwest governors. People are not certain whether community policing and Amotekun are one and the same, and maybe through this, the Senate is throwing its support or it's giving a backing of some sort to this outfit. But when you also consider that the president seems to be alarmed, and that's on the front pages of the papers this morning, at the level of banditry in the country and the level of violent crimes, there are huge questions as to whether or not our security agencies are getting overwhelmed and whether we should be adopting other strategies. But I'm curious to know what your take is. Do you support what the Senate is saying in terms of supporting and giving back into community policing? Let's start with you, sir.
Well, let me first start with the protest. There's a gang up here this morning, two Atiku supporters versus one Buhari supporter.
I do not know if that would be, make any difference. The reason I say that is because it's a matter of security. And one would think that the APC and the PDP will be agreed on it.
I think we are all agreed on the fact that security is deteriorating. We all agreed that there is a need for the federal government to buckle up its belt and fix it. Otherwise, what we will have, what it's looking like, is people will resort to self-help. And self-help will be the first sign or road down disintegration. The truth is that this government, and I supported President Buhari, I still support President Buhari, but I think we need to step up. We need to arrest this deterioration of security in every area of Nigeria, southwest, southeast, south, across northwest, northeast, middle belt. And so I will say that elections are over. There shouldn't be issue of PDP or APC. We should all bind together. We should all put hands to support this government, offer the best counsel we can on how to fix what is going wrong. So what I'm saying is that the president needs to change his approach. We need to have people in the police, people in the army, in the security forces, whose performances will determine their positions. The era of just putting somebody there and leaving him to do what he likes in the face of direct security is untenable. And people need to know that they need to be assessed. If you're not performing, get out. There is no reason they put you in a place and things are getting worse and you stick there enjoying the privileges of office.
You talked about the president needing to change his strategy. Is Amotekun one of the strategies that he needs to support?
Well, the truth about it, and I said this before at the onset, 2 weeks ago on AIT, Amotekun is an idea whose time has come. We can't run away from restructuring. And I like the way the Senate president put it, to restructure the police security stuff. It's not just the security that will need to be restructured. If this country is going to thrive, we need to restructure. And the earlier we start, the better. Amotekun, and you will notice that since June 12, the Southwest has not enjoyed the unanimity of opinion on any issue than Amotekun. Because the people have to protect their own people.
Let me quickly go to Mr. Bitrus. And I'm hoping that you will not protest against two Southwestern names, against your own one name. But this is a very serious matter. And the Middle Belt has also suffered some hit from some security crisis as a result of some, should we say, instability, or we don't know, maybe as a result of the environment, we don't know. But you can tell us what your reading is of the new measures that we're seeing, the support being given to community policing. Do you think this is just lip service, or do you think that right now there is a real drive to support this?
I doubt, I don't agree it's lip service. However, I don't also agree that it's an approach that would address the situation on ground. We have terrorists, bandits, name them, let loose on communities, and people are being attacked. People report such attacks, sometimes even report to the security services before they happen, yet nobody is defended. Now, to me, my understanding of community policing is just a change of nomenclature. We've had informants in this country since pre-colonial period, and we have informants up to now. The police, that is the CID, now CIB or whatever, the DI, the SS, the military intelligence, they all have informants in communities. How they were paid is something I don't know, but they have always existed. What I understand of community policing is that now federal government, that is the police force, which is a federal agency, would deliberately appoint people who would be visibly known to be informants in the communities, employed from the communities, and will serve just as informants to the police. They will not carry arms. They will not be doing regular police activities, which to me means nothing. Not that information hasn't been reaching the security services in the past, but that the security services have never lived to expectation. You may find a police post or military post a kilometer or two away from a position where attack on citizens is being undertaken. They will not come to their rescue. That's what's wrong. So we are saying we need the communities, whether it is the state or the local government, to have their own policing system. So when people are attacked in your local government, there is a first line of response to defend the people, to protect the people, to secure lives and property. Then they can be called for the larger group to come in for whatever purposes. So to me, yes, community policing is a diversion. Removing the issue which is supposed to be addressed, defending the people, to still keeping the federal service and federal dominance of policing, of security provision, which has not worked. If it has worked, we wouldn't have this level of banditry, terrorism, killings, abductions, and all that. So the federal system is not working. We need state police. We need local government police. Let there be true federalism. Omotekun is to be supported. We need something similar in the other states. In fact, we wanted to graduate from Omotekun to state police so that we can have proper defense of our citizenry.
It would seem that there is no consensus on what this community policing is about. It looks like what the federal government has in mind, if we're to go with what Mr. Bitrus has just said, what the federal government has in mind is different from what a number of other people have in mind. I remember here on this program, we're talking to a retired DIG, I believe, who was saying that the police is the one who usually initiates community policing. It's not the other way around. It's not the community people that get together and say, we are coming up with community policing, or even state government. And it is usually the police. Do you think that we are all agreed? Because it would seem that we all agree that we need community policing. But maybe the problem is the consensus on what community policing should be.
Well, thank you, Mokwe. First, I'd like to commiserate with the people who were involved in recent attacks in your place. Plateau and all the rest in the North Central. Then secondly, what the President of the Senate said was not out of place. It's not something extraordinary. It's, and I'm happy that even this government and the key actors are coming to the realization that we all need to work together. And I'm happy that my brother here from the other party, and then everybody is agreeing that there should be a consensus. And I'm happy for the summit of opinions and agreement that are coming on board now, that we need to wake up and that the government needs to do more, our security agencies need to do more. Regarding the issue of community policing or the state police or what have you, is something that is long overdue. Where we are now, we cannot take further chances because on a daily basis, we are losing lives, we are losing properties, and I'm happy that even Mr. President himself has agreed. I've agreed that we need to do more, and his government needs to do more. There are 4 major things that I feel we need to do now to really correct all these anomalies. And then when you're having, one thing is for you to identify the fact that you're having these challenges. The moment you do that, your problem is half solved. The next thing is to proffer solutions that will, nip most of this in the bud. And I believe, significantly that, number one, we need to do more in the area of economic development to ensure that at least this will help in a greater measure to ensure that ensuring that these security issues are well taken care of. Of course, we need a very, very justice system that will put in place, that will put a kind of check on those who are ready to go into crimes, into killings, into all sort of violence. And number 3, I think the government needs to do more in the area of working with the people. And that is where the issue of state police, community policing is coming on board. Those who are actually practicing federalism, like we copy, are doing the same thing. And if you've been trying an approach for years and they're not really working, you need to look the other way around so that you can actually protect your citizens and properties. For me, our security agencies, there must be an improved relationship, improved integration and cooperation among them, because that is equally lacking. So when we put all these things together, you will discover that this issue of insecurity will become a thing of the past. So I am happy, like I said, that we're now having a convergence. We're now having a summit of understanding that the government needs to do more.
Do we really have a convergence? So the question is about whether we mouth community policing. Are we agreed on what we mean by community policing?
Of course, everybody may not agree, but the moment we have a larger percentage of the people saying this is the way to go, the government must listen. I believe that strongly and very strongly too, that the majority of opinion in this country today are sitting towards community policing, state police. So I don't know why the government would want to run away from that.
Are they almost the same thing? Are they the same thing? Are they synonymous?
Under state police, you have community policing. It's doable. So why do we have the sheriffs in counties in America? These are the things. So it's on. So community policing itself cannot stand. You still have to work with the bigger structure, which is this, if you have a state police, nothing stops us from having a state police that would engender. That would bring in community policing as part of its structures. So actually, because we need people to be involved. If people are not involved, there's going to be a problem, because already we have a constitution that has not been able to meet the reality on ground. So that constitution has to be rejigged and looked into to be able to accommodate the realities on ground now. So if we don't do that, then there's a problem. So I think the government should wake up from, just like he said, from its slumber and then do more.
Well, let me say that. See, the big problem that Nigeria has is that there are no consequences for things people do.
That's it.
And that affects the value of life. You see, this government should take an approach that if you are appointed to an office, the office, your performance should be reviewed at least quarterly, at the most every 6 months. And there should be set goals. If I appoint a commissioner of police in a state, and I let you know before you take the job that I don't want to hear. If this happens, you are gone. Look,
yeah, some people will argue that the problems, just a moment, sorry to interrupt you, that the problems with the police are far more structural than what one individual can handle. I remember we also had on this program an advocate, people who have studied, who have worked with a long time with the police, who say that, you know, every time there is a problem with our security architecture or we have a problem with corruption, we're very quick to set up new outfits rather than looking at the outfit that is already on ground, find out what the problem is, and funding them as we ought to.
Mapwe, I'm not asking for any setup of any new thing. I'm saying for those who are on the job.
The question I'm asking is, have we equipped those who are on the job to do the right thing?
Well, we should. Before you take a job, you should ask for the tools of the work. If you're asking me to do a job, you need to know what I need to do the job. So when you accept the job, it is assumed that you have accepted that you have the tools to do the job and you are given mandate. That's what we don't have here. People are not told that, look, you have 6 months, robbery has gone up 10%, assassination has gone up 5%, adoption, and all of that. And you say, I want this down by at least half in 6 months. Can you do the job? And if you don't do the job, let me tell you, during the Joseph Stalin era, in the Soviet era, before Stalin, the trains would run late. A train that should come in at 9 o'clock would not get there until 10 o'clock. And then he said, stop. If the train gets late, you get hanged. That's extreme. I'm not advocating that. But you know, and the first one that I said, what is he talking about? The train ran late and they picked them all up and executed them. And that was the last day for a long time that trains ran late. Now the point I'm making is that if there are consequences, the reason why our entire structure, civil service, everybody is not working well is because there are no consequences for the nonsense they are doing. If we want security to be done properly, those who accept the job must accept responsibility to deliver and perform, otherwise they are kicked out.
Do you agree with him I don't know to what extent you agree with him, if you do at all?
That's a universal principle. People who don't perform should not be there in the first place. Now, this takes us to, keeping of unnecessarily of the service chiefs, which have continued to recur. Nigerians have continued to complain. Why is the president keeping the service chiefs? Well, when the security situation is deteriorating. Why? For what reason? Is he happy with what they are doing? Is that why he's keeping them? Or is there any other ulterior motive for keeping them? Things are not working. Even the theater of war, which we claim, for example, my representative, Senator Ndume, said in justifying the president's keeping of the service chiefs, said that Nigeria is at war and you don't change your service chiefs when the country is at war. If the country is at war and the service chiefs are not performing, you remove them and bring those who can perform. The chief of army staff assembled soldiers in what he called super camps, leaving the whole area for Boko Haram. So you know, outside the super camps is Boko Haram territory. Have you organized an attack system to ensure that you clear them? No. We are here, we have an air force, we have the army. The army operates on the ground. They're not working together. Air Force does its own thing on its own. The army does its own separately. And in the end, the army is approaching maybe to attack bandits. They don't know what is happening because the Air Force is not there to tell them, we've seen that the people are here, they are moving in this direction. That is not done. So why keeping such people? Is it the Chief of Air Force, Air Staff's country or whatever to do things his own way, and then the one of the army to also do things his own way, and the thing is all failing. So the whole thing has to be reorganized. People who are not performing should be kicked out. Unless if the president is telling us he is responsible for their failure. That is, this failure is what he wants. Then we can understand and start thinking the other way. But if this failure is not what he wants, he should change these people because they are not performing.
Okay, you've talked about that will be the consequences for the service chiefs. However, I'm talking about equipping major focus, because internal security is supposed to lie largely on the police. And what we have been talking about since is community policing. Can we really demand much from the police if we haven't really given them what it is that they need to work?
Yeah, first of all, we need to know, let Nigerians first know, what is this community policing all about? What are their responsibilities? What are their duties?
Let us
now
agree on a definition.
Yeah, exactly. For example, my understanding from what I was able to gather from them is that these people are going to be informants, recruited from the society, but paid by the Nigerian police. To me, that doesn't solve the problem, because we've had informants before. To me, it's just a change of nomenclature, trying to move the states, the local governments, from agitating for something like a motekun that is going to serve the community in a defensive manner.
What would be your own ideal definition of community policing in our present circumstance?
Oh, it's something like the state police or local government police. That is what I would want.
That would not be community policing. Yeah, that is an entire outfit.
Hold on. They are in the community, and they will work with the community, and they will work for the community. The difference is they are not just going to be rubber stamps, informants, which have always existed. And since the system is failing, it means the informant system has failed. Look, in majority of the attacks, we are always told that the people from the community have reported either to the police or to the military or the army, but nobody came to their rescue. After people are killed and property destroyed, then the military or the police comes in and say, hey, don't take law into your hands, remain calm. We are on top of the situation, while they are not on top of any situation. People have lost their lives, they will be aggrieved, and they will be lamenting. Then they carry them to IDP camps, and the situation remains.
Let me quickly say
it doesn't solve our problem.
Yeah.
What we want is state police, county police, or local government police that would be there as primary
responders.
Yeah, exactly. In attacks. By the time the country stabilizes and we're able to get rid of this situation that has been created, then we can now go to the next level of saying, let's equip. You see, you have not that people don't have the people who attack anyway, what do they come with? AK-47.
Let me quickly speak to Dimitri. What do you make of the proposal he's bringing forward, and how do you think we'll fund it? If part of the problems we're currently having with local governments and even some state governments is that, you know, they're having issues with funds, and a lot of them are in debt. Is this really a viable proposal for us to have state and local government police?
Anyway, my own take is that when there is a will, you can actually achieve so many things. Number one, our security system or security architecture, like everybody will say, is very faulty. And then the fault is actually from the law that governs this country, which is the Constitution. We must not lose sight of that. I'm coming to what you just said.
And I will let you finish your thoughts when we come back from this break. I'm sorry, we have to go on break now. Okay. But the conversation will continue when we come back from this break. Don't go away. Our closing moments with our guests we will have in the studio, Oshinaga, a member of the APC, Pogo Bitrus, President Middle Belt Forum, and Oladimeji Fabiyi, who's a member of the PDP. Just before we went on break, you were talking about the problem lying with the law.
Yes.
Do you want to quickly expatiate on that?
Yes, I was saying that whatever... My friends here have spoken quite a number of... on quite a number of issues, more especially the chairman of the Middle Belt Forum. It's disagreement. I don't want to use disagreement. Let me say you did not. It's acceptance of community policing. And I was saying that whichever way we look at it, there's still this factor of the angle of the law that has to be seriously looked into, because we can't do anything in this regards or in this nature outside the law. However, I'm not saying that we should have a universal law, but I want a situation where laws will be developed in tandem with the peculiarities of each of the states and zones. And that's where Amotekun comes in. So the issue of Amotekun Southwest should, if they say there must be a law that will back it up, that law must be in line with the peculiarity of the Southwest. Because the security challenges in each of these zones and the people involved are very different when you look at it. So in the Northeast, in the Northwest, they should develop laws that will make all this thing work. So there's nothing wrong with state police, like I said. And for me, I always...
We know that our constitution, though, doesn't recognize that.
That's what I said. We have to work on that. The government has to do something about it. See, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari will not have an excuse at the end of his government for not fixing the security situation of this country. And I say this with all sorts of responsibilities, because here is a government that has every structure of the government in its control. You have the National Assembly that can help you make good laws that will put this country in good state. You have the security apparatus in your care. You have the judiciary. You control everything. So they will not have any excuse for not doing what is right by taking all these problems away from Nigerians. Every day you wake up, what you see in the news everywhere is killings every day. And it cannot continue to be like that. So for me, I want them to do more in the area of, apart from all these, community policing, state police, and there are still other things that have to be done. Okay, does it make sense when we have a GDP growth of 3% and a population growth of 4%? It doesn't make any sense. It therefore means that the rhetoric must match the action. So you have to do more in the area of economy. I'm still insisting, I'm still emphasizing that. Not just carrying guns. Police is underfunded. You cannot run away from that. They don't have enough to buy equipment. They don't have enough training. So how do you expect them to deliver the goods? So we need to do more in other areas. Like I said, our justice system, a better justice, varied justice must be enthroned to make sure that offenders, people who are into crime and violence, are really taken care of.
And someone will say that maybe that's more in the area of consequence for actions, rather than just, anyway, focusing on the tenor or not of the security chiefs. And I'm not making any excuses for them. But in terms of consequences and actions, maybe that's where people will focus more on the fact that criminals are getting away with their actions and such. It's encouraging more and more of these kinds of things to happen.
For instance, when you look at the guy they caught in Lagos, the kidnapper. His case will go on forever. And so it encourages others that if you can get away with these things, and they will do it.
Do you see a drive? Are you seeing a drive? I mean, the people who voted for the APC, part of the reason is to solve the security challenges. Have you seen any concerted effort which is really addressing that? Do you want to quickly speak to that as we go?
Right now, the President Buhari is building a legacy. And it will be very unfortunate if he can't fix this. I believe he can. I believe he needs to do more. I believe he needs to change his approach. I believe he needs to surround himself with people who are truly patriotic and who have his interest at heart for him to succeed. Every day there is a killing takes away from President Buhari. Every day bandits are running. It takes away from the president's legacy. So this is the time to really sit up and make sure that the people he puts in places perform. And it's not rocket science.
Let me quickly take the closing comments. We'll have to leave it there. Of Mr. Bitrus, what exactly are you going to say as we wrap up this segment on community policing?
What we want is let the police, the IG, spell out to Nigerians what community policing means. Not to just tell us a nebulous thing. There is going to be community policing. To do what? What are their responsibilities? What will they carry? Are they going to carry guns like the other policemen, or are they going to carry buttons like our native authority police of the past? Are they going to be just informants as we understand it, or are they going to have teeth to defend?
You want the IG to tell us you don't think that we should have a conversation on what we want community policing to be?
No, it's not. First of all, let him tell us what he has, and then we'll see whether it meets the standard. And we can say now, yes, what you have is good enough, let's key into it. But he has not told us.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Gentlemen, I will take that as your closing remark. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily. You had that opportunity when we got back. We have to go now. I have to thank the three of you for coming on this morning. Oshinaga is a member of the APC. Pogu Bitrus is the president, Middle Belt Forum. Thank you. And Oladimeji Fabiyi is a member of the PDP. Gentlemen, thank you once again. Well, we'll have to take a break at this moment. Sunrise Daily will continue in a moment. Please stay with us.